Namaste, Galactic family. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Come on into this dimension. Come on into this energy update. As we have a lot of big things going on, there's so much to get into. And as we're coming in here to the end of September, the beginning of October, there's a lot to discuss. There's a lot that I think we are prepping and preparing for. There's a lot of shifts. There's a lot of splitting in the timelines. There's a lot of bifurcation going on. So let's get into it. And by the way, guys, be sure to put a big like on this video, comment on this video, share this video out to your like-minded ascension and awakening friends, and help me get my views and my subscribers up. Help me get to 16K subscribers, as I do seem to be on a rocking boat between this 15.7, 15.8K, like egregore. I don't know what's going on. I really honestly think it's YouTube doing the shadow ban thing where they like to go in and take views and things off and disable things, and just really like to tamper with you when you are a truth speaker, when you are somebody who dives into the guts of the weaponry and the methodologies of the controllers and the negative beings. So you guys know me. I speak over here with a lot of authenticity and a lot of audacity, and they don't like that so much. So yeah, just saying, every little bit you guys do for me helps me out so much, and I'm super appreciative of it. We are coming up right now, guys. Full moon here in September. September 29th is the full moon. And with this month, you know, September is a beautiful, peaceful month. It's harvest month. I love September. It's one of my favorite months out of the whole year. But towards the end here, as we're going into October, what I'm seeing come forward in terms of the manifestation blueprints of the planetary body is that we're seeing a lot of fear campaigns starting to emerge. We are starting to see a lot of Archontic deception behaviors, and the reasons for it, the push for it, the intensity of these narratives and timelines. So much is really revolving around that anticipation around Prophecy Day, okay? A mini Prophecy Day, October 4th at 2:22 p.m. Eastern Time. As many of you already know, that they're going to be running that emergency broadcast system under the leadership of FEMA. You're going to have to put that together. Some are saying that this is going to be a disguised test and will actually be used to send a high signal scalar wave pulse through everybody's cell phones with the intention of activating all of those ingredients that were in the kill shots. And as you guys know, what would happen or unfold with that. And essentially everyone's going to be affected, whether they have gotten the kill shot or not, because it's going to be a scalar wave pulse, essentially, that's going to be a hit of electromagnetic radiation, essentially. This in turn is going to weaken everybody's light body field and their spiritual immunity. This is what's being said. This is what's being told. This is what's being pushed as a narrative currently. And if October 4th date does not occur, then it's going to be moved to the 11th. So actually, we're kind of in this state of suspense where we really don't know if it's going to be the 4th or it's going to be the 11th. And essentially, people are being asked to shut their phones off at this day and time to essentially protect themselves. Now, I can't say whether this is going to happen or not. I can't say whether this is true or not. I really wouldn't put it past the Willy Wonka to not execute such an insidious and diabolical scheme to continue to further implement their agendas, right? Like, we talk about planetary weapons and modification technology over here on my channel. So we go to the extremes of what they're doing on this earth. But initially, upon hearing this, my intuition felt like, it's like every year, right? Another round of this type of stuff. And what I was feeling is that I don't think it's actually good to drive something with so much certainty, so much force, and the way it's being delivered into the timelines until something does actually occur. And the reason for that is because otherwise, those who are delivering those messages, they're coming actually consciously or unconsciously or subconsciously with that same darkness within that's driving the collective consciousness almost with the same diabolical energy as the ones supposedly who are the ones implementing it. Do you see what's happening here? So as they are delivering these messages to send this warning, essentially they're carrying the same energy in which it would be utilized to be implemented. And so these are somewhat playing into Archontic deception tactics and behaviors. And we have to pay attention to this. We have to be aware of this because we are in the time of year where ADT, Archontic deception tactics, will be the name of the game going forward through that winter solstice gateway. It's when we align to the metagalactic core, which does resemble black hole technology. And so we do have a much stronger polling on the Earth's templating. And so these behaviors and these attitudes are essentially propagated more forcefully, more strongly, more in terms of controlled oppositions, controlled narratives. Everything's propagated by the controllers to create more bondage, to create more enslavement of your soul to fear, of binding of the human race and thus planet, and coming through the increasing intensity of the splitting of the timelines. This is all unfolding, and this is why it happens. It's something that I do feel is a planetary force, that these negatives aren't always just held up on the shoulders of the reptilians and the Dracos and what other negative factions of alien false alien gods that we have here, right? It's also propagated through planetary alignments, planetary warfare, planetary influence, universal influence, multiverse influence. And so essentially, I sensed a lot of heightened and unnecessary fear with this. And maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't. That's completely okay. Drop it in the comments. Let me know what you're thinking. But it kind of confirmed what I was thinking when I heard that Alex Collier is also saying that this phenomena is and has been debunked. And also, if you watch Tarot by Janine, and just, hey, shout out to Tarot by Janine, she's also saying that it's been taken over by the white hats. Okay, so that was just kind of nice to hear that I wasn't the only one seeing the motives of the fear clout chasers, so to speak. And that's a real thing, you guys. People try to get their views. They try to get their, notoriety, their publicity by using the force of fear. And so, of course, anything can happen. But we do at some point, I feel personally, take some responsibility. And we need to, at some point, start to restore our faith in humanity. Okay. A lot of people come to me with a lot of just like misery implants, misery tags, inverted energy systems, magnetic fields that are completely broken down and weakened. And so everything that they send out, like, negative thoughts and negative emotions, it comes back and just keeps hitting them in this negative cycle. I think we have to start really changing those belief structures and those patterns and those mental mind wave fields to the belief that our humanness as a species just may in fact be inherently good, and that the resistance that comes upon us is to continually try to make the efforts of building ourselves back better. And if that belief collectively just fails to exist, which for many people in the descending spline timelines, it is, essentially then the possibility timelines of a golden humanity, a new earth, that gets more and more narrow for those in those descending timelines to actually see. And so that then collectively affects all of us. Because it does take a lot of energetic quantum to sustain yourself in the ascending timelines. Okay, so we are always fighting the resistance of the descending timelines, even in our highest ascended state. It's just that we are in a more natural or not natural or imperative, but we're in a more consistent generation of the quantum that supports the ascended timelines because it's rooted in your mastery. But that is always under the potential to fall at any time, any place, anything, any event, any occurrence, any shift that happens. So again, because we're all human, we're all experiencing the totality of the planetary alignments and just the happenings of this existence, right? Which is in a constant state of change. And so we have to take in consideration of all of this. But another Archontic strategy that is playing out is we must be aware of another ideology that's being pushed, another belief, another perspective that's being constantly transmitted that I keep running into is an ever financial impending doom. This is a big one. It's the fear around that all of the banks are going to be collapsing, that a forced and imminent AI recession is happening, and that we must pull all of our money out of the banks and buy into cryptocurrency or another form of a financial asset such as gold or silver. And I want to say, don't get me wrong, because I do feel like these realities are and have been predicted to occur for some time, and that they are slowly inching or snailing their way into existence. But I do also actually believe that there is an AI forced recession that is definitely somewhat occurring through big tech, through the corporation abuse of algorithm, mind control over the collective, algorithm MK Ultra. But we have to find ways around this. When one door closes, as a pioneer of New Earth, as a pioneer of the Ascension New Earth timelines, we know that new openings constantly open up, new loop cycles constantly break free or give with grace. And so we are building an entirely new earth from the inside out of the old earth. We're digging into old earth and building the network of our new templating in which we exist that's simultaneous to the old. Okay, and so nothing here is technically finite. Even our financial growth, even our abundance, even our wealth, even our assets. Okay, and I'm bringing this up because I've heard a lot of people on YouTube that are saying that they are going to also use the emergency broadcast system on October 4th to implement that financial reset and the shift to the full global digitized currency. And so I just want to caution you overall. Remember, Archontic deception behaviors tactics, patterns, timelines, realities are all unfolding at this time. So I want to just caution you to act on anything impulsively that you hear that is of a fear tonal resonance. Just don't even listen to the message. Just listen to the tone of the voice of the person delivering the message. And if it is going into fear, where it's really trying to push something to make you feel like you have to move to do something, you want to sit back with that, and you want to not act impulsively whatsoever out of fear, because if anything, there is some entity form collectively that will be siphoning that energy on the 4th or the 11th, if that makes sense, because it's already built a living consciousness frame. Okay, it's already pulled in souls to a belief, a pattern, a mind wave, a frequency that is being shared, that's hosting a field. Okay, and so when that happens, it can harvest, it can siphon, it can hijack, it can loosh, it can suck it into whatever technology or modification tampering systems into greater systems of the earth that then ultimately feed death culturalism, that ultimately feed the greater beast machine mechanics, right? So think about that. Think about all this fear that's being generated around the 4th and the 11th over our finances and over our health. Okay, so that would tell you that there are specific entities that are working upon this. One, Baphomet. Okay, always anything financial, it's Baphomet. Okay, because it goes back to the Templars, goes back to the financial reserve, it goes back to the treasures and the pot of gold of King of Solomon, and all of the negative and lesser spirits that are tied into that. When it comes to health, this is really going to be around the negative serpent energies, okay? The fallen Seraphi, which, yes, there is a fallen Seraphi, and this goes into the negative serpent brotherhoods, okay? So, and the entities in which support and host this. And this is really Leviathan-based. This is really Tothian-based, okay? It's Tothian, it's Mercury, it's the inception of Hermes, it's Anunnaki, essentially. Okay, so that's kind of how they're digging their claws in right now, you guys. We have to pay attention to this. And that's really what's going on. And it's going on because we are currently seeing a further splitting of timelines. Okay, and this is actually normal. The timeline split. This happens every year, every cycle, every ascension cycle. And it gets more intense the further we are closer to the end of an ascension cycle, which I personally believe that we are. That's the reason why all of this planetary information is coming forward, such as grid worker technology, such as modification weapons, such as planetary defense systems. It's coming forward because everything is intense during the end of an ascension cycle. The splitting of timelines is actually normal. Okay, so when we talk about this, it's not like, oh my gosh, the timelines are splitting, freak out. Don't freak out. It's a natural occurring process in the ascension and descension timelines, okay, that us humans have to come to understand that takes place as we cycle through and shift up into the next phase of our evolution as a whole. We have to learn how to work through splitting of timelines. We have to learn how to work through bifurcation. It's a part of the soul evolution journey as an incarnate here on Earth that we learn through these processes. And we have reached that tipping point planetarily, coming with the equinox September 23rd. Okay, this is kind of where we went through. And we shift into the beginning of separation, where we start to really see the manifestation of that in the timelines. This is where the tear of the bifurcation slowly starts to separate in the perspective of the lenses in the cycles in time. And that's going to be wavering as we get through March 2024. This is going to be something that will be intense at times and more released at times, but this will interweave itself into March as we go through the winter solstice, from equinox to solstice. And so what this means is that there's going to be a lot of polarizing viewpoints, intensification of polarizing experiences, intensification of polarizing directional flow of energy that directs the personal experience, the manifest destiny blueprint, personal lens, and perspective in which one sees and feels through the world. It begins to separate from spaces of unity within themselves. And so the deeper understandings of wholeness start to narrow into heightened depths of one's own polarity experience. And this in turn creates its own illusions of reality that travel more towards its own magnetic core and creates the resonance field. And so those collective timelines, instead of thinking about just personally what's happening with your own consciousness and within your own body, within your own field, collectively, the timelines are interweaving with one another at a rapid state of constant engagement. But the realities are actually traveling towards two separate magnetic cores, one being a stable field and one being an unstable timeline. Okay, so one being love-based realities, one being fear-based realities and timelines. And you can actually think of this like two actual magnetic poles in the earth, right? We have two poles. This is a polarized planet because of those magnetic poles. Could you imagine if we lived on a planet with 4 poles? Could you imagine if we lived on a planet with 6 poles? We're lucky we only got 2. Could you imagine how messed up we'd be on a planet with 4 poles? One of the poles is stable and one of the poles is wavering. And the one that is wavering is pulling half of the collective's energy, timeline, reality, existences, experiences into it. And the one that is stable is pulling the other half of the collective's energy into it, pulling the planetary body itself into that bifurcated state. And again, the planet gets energetically weaker as it travels through the galaxy, as it travels towards the metagalactic core. The planetary's inner weavings of stability, light lattices and matrices and pre-matter grid structures and the mantle, the tectonic plates, the core, all of it, it begins to unravel from the intensity of these influences. And especially if we have Jupiter or Saturn passing by at the same time while it's going through that process, like, my gosh, hang on for a ride. Hang on for a bifurcated ride. Okay. So all of this, in which in turn intensifies and pushes us to get to experience these fear timelines as we go through these cycles. So as the splitting of timelines occur and begins to separate more apart, you polarize more deeply in either a stable or an unstable reality. And as we go deeper into those polarized realities, it gets harder and harder to see anyone, actually visually see anyone that's not moving to the same magnetic core resonance as you, even though many of us are completely interlaced and immersed into each other's reality daily. We are aligned to a different magnetic core, planetarily. Crazy, right? This will happen as it intensifies. This will be to the point one will become completely invisible when crossing pathways with their opposite polarity. This is kind of something I talk about in those reality bubbles, like in those reality fields where you can literally live across the street from something, but not even be able to see it because you're in a different field, reality spin, and timeline, essentially, in the opposite. I really recognized this the other day when I felt like I did actually completely go invisible to people that I could see, but they could not see me. Okay. And so I realized that those in the old and the descending timelines were becoming less and less able to be aware of the existence of their polarity field. And so I felt completely and energetically removed from theirs. And it was just very clear we were in two different timelines and I was invisible. And so it was nice because it was also confirming to me as well, to where I was, to understand that, hey, I think I'm actually a lot better off than I thought, because, but I felt the shift. I'm polarized in a different season, so to speak. My inversions are coming through the summer months. Okay, so I'm writing in the higher timelines in the winter months. It's really strange, but for the collective, there's the swap that happens on the equinox, right? So it's like we're flipping timelines. And those in unstable and descending timelines, when they switch into that, and maybe they've been in it, maybe they weren't, maybe they've been in the underwater through the switches. So meaning that they were in negative and descending timelines prior to going through the equinox, and that they're going to stay lopsided, maybe because they're writing a different cycle. Okay. But those in unstable and descending timelines, they're going to be heavily in fear. So that means they're going to seek out to see negative viewpoints. Okay. They will be activated by those propagating archontic deception behavior and tactics. They will be believing everything that runs in fear timelines. They will be driven to those types of fear campaigns that are meant to scare you, that are meant to continue to propagate levels of uncertainty and unknowing of Source's divine plan, Source's divine will, Source's divine intervention, Source's divine guardianship, Source's divine coalition to assist humanity. Okay, they're not going to be able to see that. They can't see that. And so they're going to feed off the fear, which in turn creates more fear. And again, they're going to become food for reptilian bodies. They're going to become harvested. And this is the process of harvesting stages, okay, that can really get out of control if you got other things going on, such as implants and J seals and Draco seals and all that stuff, okay, and addictions. You're going to be really heading for Shitsville. We'll just put it this way. So yeah, guys, when this, yeah, I don't want to say it in that way that I'm not compassionate, because I'm very compassionate. So I want to talk about what we got to do, to protect ourselves, right? I'm going to talk about that. But when the splitting of the timelines occurs and increases in this intensity, and our inner energetic integrity is essentially being tested. That's what you have to remember. We're being tested right now. When splitting and bifurcation occurs, we are being tested. Our morality, our integrity, our strength, our courage, our root, our foundation, our stability, our strength, all being tested. This is a very good time to really start to internally evaluate how we are dealing with the chaos unfolding on Earth. Is this energetically keeping your vibration and frequency down? Then tune out of it, turn it off, don't listen to it. Okay, you can do that, and we can do that. We don't have to stay in this up and the up of all the upcoming information. You don't have to. If it's affecting your frequency, if it's altering your beliefs out of a state of sovereignty and your own internal compass, your own internal knowing. As those in this descending polarity will be experiencing more markers that are going to tick or trigger dark nights of the soul to take place. Okay. What's happening right now is the laws of cause and effect are going to begin to play out more quickly, and karmic retribution is going to be fast. Okay. Karmic residue returns itself at a much faster rate as we begin to accelerate into the splitting timelines of bifurcation. Okay. And so whatever the quality of energy is that we broadcast out into the universe, it sets into motion the cumulative frequency of the energetic content that will be directly returned back to us. And it's instantaneous. Instantaneous. So things like humility, humility, just raw humanness and vulnerability is crucial. It is crucial, especially if you are someone that considers yourself to be ascended. Okay. And you can consider yourself to be ascended and still be descending. Okay. It's crazy, but you can. And so you understand that, you know how quick karmic retribution is in these splitting timeline cycles. So it's a crucial time to be able to find our inner stillness in meditation. It's a crucial time to broadcast as much unconditional love and unconditional forgiveness, unconditional peace, unconditional gratitude to the universe as possible at this time. It's a great time to really clear out your mother and father arcing lines and systems. Clear things generationally and ancestrally when it comes to karma, blood covenants, and contracts. Things that just are hard to get over are parental wounding. Like, it's the biggest thing that's ever happened. Parental wounding is the mass cataclysm of humanity. Find a way to get over that crap in this time, because it's not doing you any good right now. And it is time to be a new you. Okay, be a new abled version and body of yourself that's not carrying around the skeletons of your mother and father's living dead energy light matrices in your hologram. Let that stuff go. Forgiveness, peace, gratitude for what you have, stillness. You're going to need it. It's going to serve the quality of your existence during processes of bifurcation. It actually becomes necessary. It actually becomes like, if you don't do it, you're not going to survive it. Okay, if you don't do it, you will be drowning. You will be not getting through the most intense moments of the splitting. So the focus on frequency becomes a priority for those hyper-tuned to the Earth's total global planetary ascension and descension processes. It also becomes imperative to catch yourself. Okay, where are you at in the splitting of timelines? Obviously, you can see it's happening. Obviously, you can see the separation. You can see how you may have gone invisible. You can see how people have just fallen off. You can see how things are collapsing out and rearranging and reorganizing themselves in your life in a way that is creating polarity. Okay, and so you want to begin to consciously pull yourself out of it if you are in reversal energy. Okay, and that is through shifting of your magnetic field. So you have to work on the integrity of your magnetic field, strengthening it to be able to flip and have magnetic field corrections and deep observations of your thoughts, behaviors, actions, choices, emotions in every single moment. It's like becoming very self-aware, right? This is the time that we need to become super self-aware to manage ourselves through bifurcation. We have to be proactive in your possible need to raise your own internal vibration and frequency, and to shift out of those unstable timelines. You have to pull yourself up. Now, the problem is, as more separation occurs, as we continue to planetarily descend, as we're in a negative quality in the planet, in an unstable timeline in the planet, as we move through the winter solstice, right? As we get through this more treacherous gateway, the problem is then more separation is occurring. So it gets more tight. It gets harder and harder to actually jump the void. So it's like it's like there was one timeline, and then there's this great mass that's coming between it. That mass gets wider and wider and wider. So if you've been in a reversal, you're separating further and further from the ascending timeline. So that means you have to jump the void. Okay. If you can get your frequency up enough and jump the void, there's a potentiality that you can get stuck in it. Okay. And that's another part of needing to master navigating and jumping timelines. Okay. So I think that this concept is playing out in so many ways. Some of the ways you can see it playing out is it reflects through our trauma bodies. It reflects through our pain bodies, our wounded bodies. Okay. Internally within your own masculinity, within your own femininity, within your own heroes, gammas, within your own positive and negative charges in the body. Hence why many can't see where things root from inside when it comes to the core of their reversal or the core of their frequency. They can't see where the holographic blockage is. So it's literally invisible to themselves inside. Their own polarity becomes invisible. It's because they're actually broken up and fragmented in multiple timelines. Okay. And then they may have some parts of them that are in ascending. Okay. Those polarized aspects could go invisible to what is in the opposite timeline. Okay, so it plays out in why we can't heal. It plays out in why we can't transcend things. It's also majorly playing out in terms of grid structures and grid work. Okay, so I talked about this in the last Cosmic Grid update, that there are ascending and descending hubs in the grids. These locations will begin to deepen energetically into their bifurcation polarity timeline as well. So it's also playing out in a collective, environmental, communal, tribal, social, atmospheric level as well. Okay, and so these locations will begin to deepen energetically into those bifurcation timelines, and the interactions between them running through the ley lines, running through current events that take place, running through community happenings that are going on, will isolate more with having less noticeable experiences within their polarity opposite cities. Okay, so more interactions with others that are internalizing the same magnetic core resonance. So descending hubs, descending locations will interact with other descending hubs. The mayors of descending hubs will communicate. They'll be in contact. They'll be in alignment with each other. Okay. Ascending hubs will interact with ascending hubs. So those that are matching the same frequency, they're going to be communicating, having more happenings, more experiences and transmissions with those that are on the same ascending hub as them. So this is why, red and blue here in the States is heightened chaos and drama coming the election time of year. Election time is right in the middle of the most intensification of bifurcation and splitting of timelines that process globally. Okay, so it's just, you can see the magnification of that during that time, and we're going to see it. Basically the stable aligning and the unstable aligning, the stable communities aligning and the unstable communities aligning, and then continuing actually to widen the gap of neutral, recognizable interactions, which causes more unrest. It causes more fragmentation and everything that occurs with that. So what this actually is, there's actually a phrase for this, and it's called that we are experiencing separation of worlds. Okay. And essentially, again, this is a natural thing that happens because you look at the descension of Earth from Avalon, okay, which I just was initiated to through our Gridworker session by my dear friend Evie, who gave me an Avalonite necklace. This is an Avalon stone, Avalonite stone. This is a Lemurian priestess necklace that was actually made by Shekinah Rose. You guys may know Shekinah Rose on YouTube, but this is her art here. So yeah, I was really excited to get this. But what I'm saying is you can see that separation of worlds, when we've gone from a 7D Tara to a 5D Tiamat to a 3D Gaia, when we've gone to an Avalon to Mu to Lemuria to Atlantis, these are separations of worlds that happen through bigger planetary ascension cycles. It happens within smaller cycles as well. So essentially, there is a frequency split occurring at the planetary subatomic level of the blueprint of consciousness that is inherently connected to everything in creation through every cycle of existence that ever has, will, and is going to be. And so I think it's really more about getting on board with how things work around here. So that way we have more tools in our bag to kind of be more of like a ninja, where you're just kind of like understanding the processes so you can navigate yourself through them with agility and with wisdom and speed and, you know, all the things that ninjas have. The challenges become easy, right? That's what we are hoping for. We want we want a peaceful existence. We want an easier way to be, so that way we can get everything done we want to get done, all of our goals, all of our dreams, all of our aspirations. We don't want these low vibrational challenges that keep us submerged in frozen or concrete states. Okay, so let me get into the grid worker part of this update. I want to, speaking according to polarity, and the separation of worlds and timelines, I did just do a video not too long ago called Planetary Modification Weapons Technology, Armageddon Systems, Diabolical Doomsday Weapons of Mass Chaos and Destruction. This was a very important advanced video that I put out and did following the fires in Lahaina. And so I highly recommend watching it, as I give very deep insight into the different types of planetary weapons technologies being used against humanity, all the way from underground tunnels to the DUMBs, to bases, to directed energy weapons and scalar weaponry, to particle accelerators, all the way to planetary branding, and also speaking about the gears of Giza as well, which is technology inside of the pyramids. And I have been, overviewing all of this as an advanced grid worker, as someone that has had several boots on the ground missions under my belt, so to speak, taking on major reversal sites such as the Vatican and Washington, D.C., as many of you already know. I've had, over 100 remote sessions, reading experiences globally around weapons technologies being used. And so I've taught about a lot of this in my Gridworker Facilitator course that I just taught coming into the end of 2022, 2023. So I am going to be teaching another new one coming January 2024. I'm going to be doing a Gridwork Facilitator 2 course. And so that's available for registration right now as well. So all of the links and coupon codes will be down in the description, as I am giving an early bird coupon code to Gridwork Facilitator 2 course. So be sure to sign up as I look forward to teaching this again. But why I'm saying all this is because my insights are really good. Like, they are top notch. Like, you're really not going to find this knowledge all combined in the way that I present it for you guys many other places, unless there's other people, digging in and researching this. But I really don't know too many other people that are digging into it at this level. Hence, because I just stay in my lane particularly. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on really quickly is I was supposed to have Ishmael Perez on the channel, guys. Well, he just had some scheduling conflicts and couldn't make it to the filming with me. So it just got canceled. So I just wanted to give you guys and let you guys know that that's what happened with that, because I had said that he was going to come on the channel and he didn't, but it's fine. It's whatever. That's just staying in my own lane, right? Like, so if someone has a conflict, like a scheduling conflict, like, that's okay with me. It's fine, because I like to stay in my own lane as it is. I like to explore the things that I'm guided to based off my own divine gnosis and bring things forward. And so I like to share that information with people during interviews and sessions that we have, that we get to talk about stuff. But ultimately, I enjoy being in my own mind. I enjoy delivering the depth of my own, madness, so to speak. So I'll leave the links down in the description to the Planetary Modifications technology video, but that's coming up right now because of planetary defense systems. Okay, so planetary defense systems, this is something that I want to start talking more about. I think this is going to be huge and fundamental as we shift through these splitting timelines and this intensification of bifurcation. Planetary defense systems is the polarization opposite to the negative and destructive planetary modification weaponry in the planet. Source is basically pulling out the offensive playbook from the ancient spiritual ascended masters and guardians of the earth, and wants us to know about this stuff, wants us to know that we have spiritual defense systems here that protect humanity, that protect the earth. So I want to discuss some of these planetary defense systems and how the earth has been installed with ancient sacred spiritual systems that awaken in the right time and in the right moments, that are literally designed to save humanity from total annihilation and total cataclysm, total destruction. So maybe this will put some people at ease when they fear doomsday, when they fear financial reset, when they fear their nanobots getting activated from their kill shot. Okay, this all really does kind of work just like the movie The Fifth Element. Okay, you guys seen The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis and the other gal that I don't know the name of the actress, but she was really good in it. Lilu Dallas Multipass, I love that movie, is a classic. But where the fifth element is essentially activated to save the earth, right? We have systems in the earth that really do function this way. Or if maybe you've seen the movie Doomsday Prophecy, I think it's on like Prime or Netflix or something like that. But basically they had to go and dig up sacred stones in this mountain to stop the earth from aligning to a black hole. And then these stones were activated and they literally saved the earth. Okay. We have stuff like this here. And this is what's a part of the revolution of gridworker technology, gridworker shamanism, the new revolution that is building the new earth, that is building the golden timelines, that is building the golden cities and the golden temples. So I want to tell you about one of them, and I'm just going to do a screen share really quick. So you guys know what these are, right? Okay. Let's just pick a picture of them. This one looks a little crazy, how they're all lined up. So according to the oral traditions of the ancient indigenous on Rapa Nui, Easter Islands, the moai were placed, okay, and even moved according to the energy of mana. Now, it's so interesting because I had been picking up on mana for the last couple months every time I would go down to the ocean and I would be connecting with the spirit of the ocean. And she would be telling me that her name was Mana. And I remember I was with a group of friends one day and I was like, the ocean spirit wants me to call her Mana. And they all kind of looked at me and scratched their heads a little bit because they just, weren't as spiritually attuned, essentially. But that's okay. I still be doing my thing anyways. But Mana actually, so this blew my mind when I realized that these were actually names that the ancients of Rapa Nui on Easter Islands were actually connected to. And so mana means divine power. Okay. Mana means divine power of the primordial waters. Those who possess mana are able to move the moai heads, okay, and make them walk. So there's been theories throughout history about how these heads have been able to be placed, as they are too big and heavy for people to move them and to place them. So the traditions go that they were placed by the spirit of divine power. And so if somebody possesses divine power, if somebody possesses mana, they can strategically move the stones. And people have been said to do this, that they can move them where they want. There are keepers, okay, keepers of the planetary defense technology systems that can move those moai heads with using the power of mana and to place them strategically over the island's open vortices and clean the entire earth of the spirit with the spirit of the guardians. Okay, because the moai, so the island is famous for its nearly 1,000 monolithic human figures carved by the Rapa Nui people in the Eastern Polynesia between 1250 and 1500. Now, those 1,000 heads, this is called the Island of 1,000 Guardians. Okay, so it's the power of the guardians times 1,000 that work through this planetary defense system, placing these in specific formations and also around specific vortices on the island that can activate this defense system. This is one of the most powerful planetary defense systems that the Earth has. We're looking at it right here with the moai. It is considered a crystal star fire gate system that works to activate a Lemurian pylon implant network of light that brings forward 3 Lemurian light matrices, okay, the original Lemurian template, the dove grid, the swan grid template, and I've done videos on this, you guys, the 3 days of light. I'll leave links down in the description where I speak on these templates. It's also on my blogs at IndigoAngel222.com. Be sure to sign up for my website newsletters so you can receive the codes when they're transmitted, and that way you have access. But this opens up what is called the 4 pillars of man and the alpha omega codes from inner earth to the galactic core to the omniverse. So this is the power of what the 1,000 Guardians are working with. It runs 12 sound pillar tones intersecting through all 3 Lemurian light matrices and through all 3 earth planes and all 144 human genetic codes and memories. So this works with the activation of the 144,000. This island of 1,000 guardians was designed to restore the 12D avatar body of Earth and prevent the fall of man. Prevent the fall of Earth. This is what we heavily worked on yesterday in the Gridwork session, is to call and generate and activate these codes. So be sure to watch yesterday's Gridwork mission session, as you'll receive some of these codes if you go watch that. Now, I only could break it down to about an hour of feed. So if you want to see the full Guardian mission, you're going to want to go to my Patreon, patreon.com/IndigoAngel. And if you'd like to join the Gridworker sessions and be present at the next one, October 2023, you just want to sign up for my Patreon to get access to those. But the island of 1,000 Guardians, Rapa Nui, this is the island where the 4 angels of 4 directions were born. And so that's why they use the highest frequencies here. That is why they hold the planetary defense systems of the 4 faces of man, which is another activated pillar systems that can prevent the total cataclysm of Earth and extract the negative evils out of the spiritual Earth core body. And it's said that these moai heads, how these rocks are activated is with the Song of the Swan. So it's pulling this from the highest light matrix template, which is the Swan Grid. And this will activate the 12D sound attuned to awaken the defense system. And there's actually a prophecy around this. It's actually called a swan song. And the swan song is a metaphorical phrase for a final gesture, a final effort, or a performance given just before death or retirement, just before something basically goes through major transformation. So the phrase refers to an ancient belief that the swans singing a beautiful song just before their death, since they have been silent and or alternatively not musical for their lives. And so for what happens is the song comes alive right at the end, right at the perfect divine moment in time, and the defense system clears the cataclysmic energy, activating a powerful guardian healing spiritual network that bridges together all the sacred golden temples, all of the golden light cities to activate in the planet that the 144,000 are currently building. So this really ties into a lot of the prophecy, also in which I've spoken a lot about. So yeah, guys, all of that's on my website at IndigoAngel222.com under my blog section. And you can also see it on my video list here on YouTube as well. You're just going to have to filter through timing, because I believe I was speaking a lot about the Swan Grid templating in 2000. It was February 22nd, 2022. I actually remember the date. All of this is really important at this time. I'm going to keep speaking on planetary defense systems as I keep decoding it. If this is something you want to see more of content-wise, also drop it down in the comments and let me know. And it was such an awesome time to connect with you guys today in this energy update. And I hope to see you guys in my next Gridwork course as well, Gridwork Facilitator 2. It's going to be really cool. We're going to be talking about some new stuff in this course, going into star forwarding and the dynamics of the light matrices as well. Maybe get a little bit more into that type of technology, because it will be kind of the next advanced phase that grid workers are going to want and need to know as we transcend out of the simplicity of just ritualistic extraction and more into building networks, building light matrices ourselves, and recorrecting black magic matrices like fallen systems, reversal matrices, right? So this is just a upgrade in the skill level for us as grid workers. And it's an exciting time. I told you 2023 is Grid Worker Revolution, so we're kicking it off with a bang. And I can tell you there are some things that are coming in terms of the light, okay? There are things that are coming that I know about that I'm not actually allowed to speak about, okay? But I know for a fact that there are things happening at the highest tiers, at the tippity top, that are happening right now, that are on behalf of humanity, okay, that are going to be serving the transition into New Earth. And so when the timing is right, the information will come out. But I just want to let you guys know, I just want to give you that confidence of certainty that we can trust in the goodness of humanity, that things are going to get better. Okay, guys, so all right, I love you all so much. Have a beautiful everything. See you on the next show.